When fear ruled the land and black voices were silenced, one young man barely 22 years old dared to stand up and say, "No more." His name was Solomon Kulushi Mahlangu, a young freedom fighter whose courage shook the walls of oppression. This is his story, a story of pain, hope, and sacrifice. A story that still echoes through the streets of Mamelodi today. Solomon Mahlangu was born on the 10th of July 1956, in Mamelodi, a township east of Pretoria. His childhood was marked by hardship. His father left him when he was still a boy, leaving his mother, Martha Mahlangu, to raise the family alone. She worked as a domestic worker, scrubbing floors and washing clothes for white families who saw her as invisible. Yet every night she came home and told her children, "Work hard, my children. Education is your only weapon." But under apartheid, even education was a weapon controlled by the oppressor. In 1953, the apartheid government introduced the Bantu Education Act, a system designed to keep black children uneducated. The architect of apartheid, Dr. Hendrik Verwoerd, once said, "There is no place for the Bantu in the European community above the level of certain forms of labor." To Solomon, those words were poison. He attended Mamelodi High School, where overcrowded classroom, torn textbooks, and broken desks were the norm. But his heart burned with curiosity and anger. His friends remember him as quiet but determined, a boy who read newspapers aloud and questioned the world. By 1976, South Africa was a boiling pot. The apartheid government forced black school to teach in Afrikaans, the language of the oppressor. On June 16, 1976, students in Soweto took to the streets. They carried signs reading, "Down with Afrikaans and we want freedom." Police opened fire. Hundreds of young people, including 13-year-old Hector Peterson, were shot and killed. Solomon watched from Mamelodi, thousands of kilometers away, but felt it deep in his soul. "If they can kill children for asking to be taught in their own language," he said to a friend, "then there is no future here." That year, he made a life-changing decision, to leave South Africa and fight for freedom. Solomon slipped out of the country through Swaziland, and from there, crossed into Mozambique. He was just 20 years old. From Mozambique, he joined the ANC's military wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe, the spear of the nation. In Angola, he underwent military training. The days were long and hot, the nights filled with the sound of crickets and whispered songs of freedom. His comrades remember him as a disciplined and humble fighter. He wasn't motivated by hatred, but by love. Love for his people. During training he once wrote, "We fight not because we enjoy war, but because peace has been taken from us." In 1977, Solomon was selected for a mission back home. The task was to help organize underground resistance and mobilize the youth. He traveled with two comrades, Mondi Motlong and George Mahlangu, carrying weapons hidden in luggage. They arrived in Johannesburg through Swaziland. But things quickly went wrong. At Gotch Street in Johannesburg, police approached them after a tip-off. A gunfight erupted. Bullets flew through the streets. 2 civilians were killed. Solomon didn't fire a single shot. His gun jammed, but the apartheid regime would not care. Mondi was captured, brutally tortured, and forced to testify against Solomon. Solomon Mahlangu stood trial under the Terror Act, one of the most feared laws of apartheid. The court claimed that he and his comrades were responsible for the deaths of Gotch Street. Even though the evidence proved Solomon never fired a weapon, the apartheid court used the common purpose doctrine, saying that since he was part of the mission, he was equally guilty. In court, Solomon remained calm. He often smiled, refusing to give his captors the satisfaction of seeing fear. When asked if he had any final words, he looked up proudly and said, "My blood will nourish the tree that will bear the fruits of freedom. Tell my people that I love them. They must continue the fight." A luta continua. His mother, Martha, broke down in tears as the death sentence was passed.
You are hereby sentenced to death.
News of Solomon Mahlangu's sentence spread across the world. The United Nations, Amnesty International, and leaders like Oliver Tambo and Julius Nyerere begged for his life to be spared. But the apartheid government refused. They wanted to make an example of him, to strike fear into every young black South African who dared to resist. In his final letter to his mother, Solomon wrote, "I am proud to have lived and fought for my people. Do not cry for me, Mama. Cry for the children who still suffer." On the 6th of April 1979, at dawn, Solomon Mahlangu was led to the gallows at Pretoria Central Prison. Outside the prison walls, thousands gathered, singing Nkosi Sikelel, I Africa. Inside, guards whispered in disbelief at his calmness. Moments before his death, he said, "My blood will nourish the tree that will bear the fruits of freedom." And with that, South Africa lost one of its brightest suns. But his spirit lived on. After the end of apartheid, Solomon Mahlangu's remains were buried in Mamelodi in 1993, with full honors. Today, his name graces schools, streets and statues. The Solomon Mahlangu Freedom Square in Pretoria stands as a mountain to his courage. In 2015, the film Kalush, the story of Solomon Mahlangu, brought his legacy to a new generation. Solomon Mahlangu's story reminds us that freedom is never free. It is bought with courage, sacrifice, and love for one's people. Tell my people that I love them. My blood will nourish the tree of freedom. May we never forget the young man who died so that South Africa could live.